On my wedding anniversary, my husband, Marcus, gave me a grand gift, signed divorce papers. He said his one who got away was returning. After 5 years, he could finally give her what she deserved. He apologized, but claimed love couldn't be forced. I looked at him, at the man I had loved for 5 years. His handsome face showed no trace of guilt, only the relief and eagerness of someone about to reunite with his true love. Calmly, I picked up the pen. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us where you're listening from in the comments. Grace, let's get a divorce. Marcus pushed a document towards me, his tone as bland as if he were remarking, the weather's nice today. Today was our 5th wedding anniversary. I had taken the day off specially, spending the entire afternoon preparing a table full of his favorite dishes. The wine on the table had just finished breathing, and candlelight flickered, reflecting off his handsome yet incredibly cold face. Luna is back, he added, as if bestowing upon me a great favor, a graceful reason for my exit. Luna. That name had been a thorn in my heart for 5 years. Marcus's college classmate, the one he held dearest. 5 years ago, she left the country without a word. Marcus was dejected for a long time, then, under his family's arrangement, he met me, and we married. I thought 5 years would be enough to warm even a stone. It turned out he was merely using my warmth to get through the cold winter without Luna. Now, his spring was returning. I picked up the divorce papers. Marcus's name was already signed, bold and decisive, revealing an impatient eagerness. Leaving him with all assets. He left me all the property under his name, including this penthouse overlooking the city's waterfront. He probably thought money could buy out my 5 years of youth, my 5 years of meticulous care. Buy out a wife's entire dignity. You're a generous man, I murmured. Marcus's brow furrowed almost imperceptibly, as if unaccustomed to my calm reaction. In his anticipation, I should have cried, thrown a fit, or demanded to know why. But I didn't. I simply picked up the pen and, stroke by stroke, wrote my name in the female section. Grace. My name, like me, was always a step behind. When others were in passionate love, I was only just realizing it. When others broke up, I was still savoring the memory. This time, I seemed to finally be one step ahead. After signing, I pushed the papers back. All right. Marcus froze, surprise flashing in his eyes before being replaced by immense euphoria. He couldn't even hide the smile playing on his lips. Grace, thank you for your understanding. Don't worry, if you ever have any difficulties, you can always come to me. He stood up, as if having completed a difficult and glorious task. Wait, I called out. He turned back, a flicker of wariness and impatience in his eyes, likely assuming I was about to go back on my word or add some extra conditions. I have one condition, I said. Money? Or a house? Anything I can give, it's yours, he immediately replied, his tone laced with condescension. I shook my head, looking at him. Have dinner with me tomorrow night. Marcus froze again. He probably hadn't expected my condition to be just that. A single dinner. The wariness in his eyes softened into a hint of pity and guilt. Okay, of course. Where do you want to eat? I'll make a reservation. No need, I said, picking up my phone and lowering my gaze. I've already booked the place. 7 tomorrow evening, I'll send you the address. With that, I didn't look at him again, walking directly back to the bedroom and closing the door. Outside the door, Marcus stood for a moment, then I heard his footsteps retreating, light and even carrying a hint of a hum. He was free. I leaned against the door, slowly sliding to the floor. 5 years of marriage, like a long monologue. Now, it was finally time for the curtain to fall. I took out my phone and tapped on the profile picture, in messaging app, I hadn't contacted for 5 years. It was gray, like a sealed memory. I sent 3 words. I'm divorced. Almost instantly, the gray profile picture, in messaging app, lit up. The reply came even faster, just 1 word. Wait. The next evening at 7, I arrived punctually at the bistro. This was where Marcus and I had our first date. Ironically, it was also my secret spot with another person. Marcus arrived before me. He was wearing a well-tailored suit, his hair neatly styled, looking high-spirited and confident. Seeing me, he stood up and, like a gentleman, pulled out a chair for me. Grace, you look beautiful today. I was wearing a simple black dress and had barely put on any makeup. I knew his compliment was merely the last polite formality before parting ways. Thanks, I said, sitting down. What would you like to eat? The usual? He asked, picking up the menu. No, thank you, I said, raising my hand to call the waiter. Just a glass of lemon water, please. Marcus's brow furrowed again. Why aren't you eating? It's not good for your health. No appetite. The atmosphere immediately grew awkward. Marcus seemed to search for a topic to ease the tension. Grace, I know I've wronged you in this. But and I truly love each other. If it weren't for her family's sudden troubles back then, we would have already. Marcus, I interrupted him. I didn't want to hear him recount their love story. It would only make me feel like my last 5 years had been a joke. You don't need to explain, I said calmly, looking into his eyes. I agreed to the divorce not to fulfill your happiness, but to set myself free. Marcus's expression changed, a hint of embarrassment crossing his face. He was accustomed to my obedience and gentleness, forgetting that even a cornered rabbit will bite. Are you still angry with me? No, I shook my head. I just don't think it was worth it. Wasting 5 years for a love that was never mine was indeed not worth it. He fell silent, cutting his steak, again and again, as if he had a grudge against the meat. Just then, the restaurant door opened. A tall figure walked in. He wore a simple white shirt, the sleeves casually rolled up to his elbows, revealing strong forearms. His gaze swept across the restaurant, then precisely landed on me. Our eyes met. Time seemed to stand still at that moment. He walked towards me, his steps unhurried, each one seeming to echo my heartbeat. Marcus also noticed him, looking up with a flash of confusion and scrutiny in his eyes. The man walked straight to our table and stopped. He didn't look at Marcus, his gaze remained on my face, gentle as a spring breeze. Grace. He spoke, his voice deep and magnetic. I smiled. Not late at all. I stood up and turned to Marcus, who looked utterly bewildered. Marcus, let me introduce you. I linked my arm through the man's, my body naturally leaning towards him. This is Alexander. My fiancé. Marcus's knife and fork clattered onto his plate, making a jarring sound. The color drained from his face instantly, his eyes wide as saucers, staring intently at my arm linked with Alexander's. Gr. Grace. You. What did you say? He stammered, unable to believe his ears. Alexander ignored his discomposure, simply looking at me with tenderness, then took a velvet box from his pocket. He opened the box and knelt on one knee, right in front of Marcus. Under the gaze of everyone in the restaurant, a sparkling diamond ring lay silently in the box, its brilliance stinging Marcus's eyes. Ms. Grace, Alexander's voice resonated clearly through every corner of the restaurant. I missed my chance with you 5 years ago. This time I don't want to wait any longer. Will you marry me? 3. I will. Without a moment's hesitation, I extended my hand to Alexander. The cold touch as the ring slid onto my ring finger brought me intense clarity. Scattered applause and congratulatory murmurs rose around us. ONL. Y remained, like a statue struck by lightning, frozen in place. His face showed shock, humiliation, and disbelief. He probably never dreamed that his ex-wife, whom he had pitied moments ago, would be wearing another man's engagement ring the next, especially right in front of him. Grace! Marcus finally reacted, jumping to his feet. The chair was knocked over with a loud crash. What are you doing? Is this some kind of show for me? To get revenge? His voice trembled with rage. I looked at him and suddenly found it rather amusing. Revenge? Marcus, you flatter yourself. I stood up with Alexander, facing him. You waited 5 years for your true love. I merely found my true love again. We're even. You. Marcus was so angry he couldn't speak, his handsome face turning beet red. Just then, his phone, tucked in his pocket, rang at an inopportune moment. He fumbled to pull out his phone, and upon seeing the caller ID, his expression changed again. He instinctively tried to hang up but, perhaps remembering something, answered it, his voice hushed. Hello, Luna. From the other end of the line, a sweet, delicate female voice, not loud, but clear in the quiet restaurant, reached my ears. Marcus, where are you? I've arrived at the airport. When are you coming to pick me up? It was Luna. She was back. Marcus's expression instantly became a kaleidoscope of emotions, like a spilled paint palette. He looked at me, then at Alexander beside me, fine beads of sweat appearing on his forehead. He was probably racking his brain, wondering how to explain this caught in the act scenario to his one who got away. Luna, you. Just wait for me at the airport for a bit. I have something to take care of here, I'll be right there. He said this while holding his phone, retreating clumsily out of the restaurant. What's so important? More important than me? The voice on the phone carried a hint of grievance and flirtation. Marcus's footsteps quickened. Watching his frantic escape, I felt no triumph, only a desolate calm. Alexander squeezed my hand, the warmth of his palm steadily flowing into mine. Let's go, he said. I nodded. Stepping out of the restaurant, the evening breeze was cool. Alexander took off his suit jacket and draped it over my shoulders. The familiar, faint scent of mint enveloped me. "Are you cold?" he asked. I shook my head. "Alexander. When did you come back?" "Yesterday. Why didn't you contact me?" He stopped, turned, and looked at me earnestly. "I was waiting for you to contact me." His gaze was deep, as if he could see through all my pretense and bravado. "I was afraid that if I showed up, I wouldn't be able to resist taking you back." My heart gave a violent tremor. What if I never contacted you? Then I would have waited until you divorced, until you were single again, until you were willing to look at me once more, Alexander said with unwavering resolve. I waited 5 years, I wouldn't mind waiting another 5 or 10. My eyes welled up unexpectedly. 5 years ago, we separated because of a ridiculous misunderstanding and our family's opposition. I thought he had long forgotten me and moved on with a new life. I never imagined he had been waiting for me all this time. Just like Marcus waited for his one who got away. Turns out, I wasn't an unloved child. It was just that the person who loved me was a step late. No, perhaps now, it was just right. Just as I was about to say something, a taxi pulled up in front of us. The door opened, and a slender figure in a white dress rushed out. She ran directly towards the direction Marcus had just disappeared, then, seeing Alexander beside me, suddenly screeched to a halt. It was Luna. She probably couldn't wait and had hailed a taxi to find him herself. She paused for a moment, then a delicate and innocent expression appeared on her face, and her eyes instantly turned red. Gr. Grace sis. Keeping original here as the English equivalent sister is usually N. OT used this way among adults who are not actual sisters unless it's a very specific context, which it isn't here. This is likely a misinterpretation of by the system, as Grace has already corrected her. "Grace," she said timidly, her voice filled with a sob. "I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. Please don't blame Marcus, okay? If you must blame someone, blame me." Luna stood there, in a pure white dress, long hair cascading over her shoulders, her eyes red-rimmed, looking like a startled fawn, utterly pitiable. Any man seeing her like this would feel a surge of protectiveness. Marcus was completely under her spell that way. Unfortunately, she had picked the wrong target today. Before I could speak, Alexander stepped forward, completely shielding me behind him. His tall frame instantly blocked Luna's gaze, which, though seemingly fragile, was actually full of scrutiny and provocation. "Miss," Alexander's voice turned cold, devoid of the gentleness he'd shown me moments before. "I think you're mistaken. My fiancé has nothing to blame you for." Luna clearly hadn't expected anyone to stand up for me, especially such a powerful man. She froze, tears still clinging to her eyelashes, about to fall, looking somewhat comical. Fiancé, she repeated, her gaze darting between us, full of disbelief. Yes, Alexander's tone was calm, yet carried an undeniable assertiveness. "We are celebrating our engagement. If you have nothing else to say, please don't disturb us." With that, he took my hand and turned to leave. "Wait." Luna panicked, no longer bothering to play the delicate victim. She quickly stepped forward, blocking our path. "Grace, I know you're angry with Marcus. You can't just find someone arbitrarily out of spite." Her words were cut short by my cold interruption. "Ms. Luna." I stepped out from behind Alexander, looking directly at her. "First, Marcus and I have signed the divorce papers. Legally, we are no longer related. So, I don't need to explain anything to you. Second, Alexander isn't just anyone I picked. He is the man I love. He was, and he still is. Third," I paused, watching her face turn instantly pale, "please don't call me sister anymore. We're not that close." Luna's face cycled between green and white, a truly spectacular sight. She probably hadn't expected me, who usually behaved like a docile lamb in front of her, to suddenly become so sharp-tongued. Just then, Marcus finally ran back, panting. He saw Luna and brightened, then seeing our confrontation, his face darkened again. "Luna, why are you here?" He hurried to Luna's side, anxiously pulling her into his arms as if we were some kind of dangerous beasts. "Marcus, Luna buried her face in his chest, sobbing aggrievedly. "I was so worried about you. I called you as soon as I landed, you." There, it's okay, I'm here now, aren't I?" Marcus gently comforted her, then looked at me with an accusatory gaze. "Grace, if you have something against me, deal with me directly. Don't bother Luna. She just got off her flight, she's not feeling well." I was almost laughing at his distorted logic. Who was bothering whom? "Marcus, control your woman." Alexander's voice was as cold as ice. If there's a next time, it won't be just a few words. His powerful aura made Marcus instinctively shrink his neck. You. Who are you? How dare you? Who I am isn't important, Alexander interrupted him. What's important is that Grace is now my fiancée. Anyone who makes her unhappy is making an enemy of me. With that, he ignored the unsightly pair, pulled me along, and headed straight for the Bentley parked by the roadside. Once in the car, I noticed it was a black Bentley. Understated, yet luxurious. The car smoothly drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw Marcus and Luna still standing there. Luna was nestled in Marcus's arms, and Marcus was staring intently in the direction we had left, his expression complex. Don't look, Alexander's voice came from beside me. It's not worth it. I averted my gaze, leaned back in the seat, and let out a long sigh. A dream that had lasted 5 years had finally ended. Although the process was somewhat humiliating, the outcome didn't seem too bad. I thought the matter would end there. Marcus and I would go our separate ways, with no further connection. But I forgot that some people, even after breaking up, can't stand to see you do well. Just as we were nearing the mansion, Marcus called. I didn't want to answer, but the phone kept ringing persistently. I frowned and pressed the answer button. Grace! You can't do this. Marcus roared as soon as I picked up. You divorce me, and immediately get engaged to another man? What will our parents think? Where will the Chen family's reputation stand? Marcus, are you questioning me? My voice turned cold. Marcus choked, his momentum weakened by half, but he still sounded self-righteous. I'm just reminding you. Our families have long-standing family connections. How can you do this and disregard our parents' reputation? Have you considered their feelings? Again, parents, again, reputation. He would always use these things to pressure me. When you decided to marry me, why didn't you consider my feelings? And now you want to divorce me for Luna, and you come to talk about our parents' feelings? I scoffed. Marcus, can you stop being so hypocritical? That's not what I meant. Grace, stop being so unreasonable. Marcus panicked. Anyway, you can't just be with that man so quickly. At least wait until we've finalized the courthouse procedures, give it some time. He was ordering me. He thought he was still the husband who could boss me around. My affairs are none of your business. I hung up the phone after saying that. The world fell silent. Alexander, beside me, hadn't spoken, just quietly drove the car, but the knuckles of his hand gripping the steering wheel were white. Has he always been like that? He suddenly asked. So arrogant. I gave a bitter smile. More or less. Maybe it's because I always indulged him. It's not your fault, Alexander said. He's not good enough for you. The car entered an exclusive gated community and stopped in front of a mansion. We're here. I unbuckled my seatbelt and realized this wasn't my old home, nor was it the hotel I had expected. Where is this? Our new home, Alexander said casually, as if saying, let's go to dinner. I froze. New home? Yes. I thought you probably wouldn't want to go back to that place. He looked at me. Everything here is new, and it's just for us. My heart felt as if something had heavily struck it. A mix of bitter and warm. What gave me was divorce papers and a thank you for your understanding. What gave me was a brand new beginning. Following him into the mansion, the interior was decorated in my preferred minimalist style, fully furnished. Even the walk-in closet was filled with new season's women's clothing, all in my size. When did you prepare all this? I asked, stunned. Before I came back. Meaning, even before I contacted him, he had already prepared everything for me. He was certain I would leave Marcus. He was certain I would return to him. This confidence, this special favor, made me feel both overwhelmed and incredibly at peace. Just then, my phone rang. It was my mom. I took a deep breath and answered. Mom. Grace. Have you grown too big for your britches? Marcus told me everything. You're divorcing him? And getting engaged to another man? Are you insane? On the other end of the line was my mom's familiar roar. Mom, I'm perfectly lucid. Lucid? You're lucid enough to do something so disgraceful. Don't you know how much the Hayes family has helped our family? Divorcing now, what else is that but being ungrateful? He's the one who wanted the divorce, I calmly stated the fact. For his one who got away. Then why couldn't you just bear with it? Men, who doesn't have a bit of a wandering eye? As long as he comes home in the end, that's all that matters. You making such a fuss and creating such a mess, where will our Chin family's reputation stand? Listening to my mother's accusations on the phone, my heart grew colder by the minute. In their eyes, my happiness, my grievances, were far less important than their so-called family reputation and interests. "Mom, I am not a tool for you to exchange for benefits." "You." My mom was too angry to speak. The phone was snatched away by another person, my caustic and cruel Mrs. Richard. "Grace! You shameless woman! What did our Hayes family ever do to wrong you? You couldn't conceive for 5 years, and we never held it against you, yet you go and hook up with some wild man and kick my son to the curb. I'm telling you, divorce is fine, but don't think you'll take a single penny from our Hayes family." Her sharp voice made my ears ache. I was about to retort when Alexander, beside me, took my phone and put it on speaker. "Madam," his voice was calm and steady, carrying an undeniable pressure. "First, Grace isn't the one who wanted the divorce. It was your son who proactively initiated the divorce for another woman, and asked her to be leaving him with all assets. Second, regarding asset division, we will enlist the best legal team to audit their joint assets over their 5 years of marriage. I suspect your son has been using my fiancé's money to subsidize your Hayes family, as well as his so-called true love." The phone line instantly went silent. Alexander paused, then continued. "Third, and most importantly, my fiancé doesn't care for anything from your Hayes family. As an engagement gift, I have transferred 10% of Velocity's stock, which is under my name, to hers. I believe this amount should be more than enough for her to live comfortably for the rest of her life. So, please, do not harass her again." On the other end of the phone, there was a deathly silence. I could even imagine the dumbfounded expression on my Mrs. Richards' face at that moment. Velocity, a top technology company in the country, valued at hundreds of billions. 10% of its stock was an astronomical sum that their Hayes family couldn't hope to achieve in several lifetimes of. With a click, I hung up the phone. The world was completely silent. I looked at Alexander, a mix of emotions swirling inside me. He was always like this, appearing when I was at my most vulnerable, shielding me from all storms. Just then, my phone screen lit up. A text message from an unknown number. "You think you've won? You have no idea what you're up against." This provocative text message, like a stone thrown into a calm lake, sent ripples through the surface. Was it Marcus? Or perhaps the furious Hayes family? I handed my phone to Alexander. He glanced at it, raised an eyebrow slightly, but showed no expression. "Just a petty annoyance." He handed my phone back to me. "Don't mind it. Are you hungry? I'll make you something to eat." I nodded. From last night until now, I truly hadn't eaten anything. Watching's busy figure in the open concept kitchen, the unease I felt from the text message gradually subsided. With him here, it felt like I had nothing to fear, even if the sky were to fall. The next day, the legal team I entrusted officially sent Marcus a legal notice, initiating the divorce proceedings. I only wanted the assets I brought into the marriage and the portion of my personal income from after the marriage. As for what Marcus had promised me, I didn't want a single penny. I didn't want any further entanglement with him. I thought things would go smoothly since Marcus had proposed the divorce and signed the papers. Unexpectedly, Marcus began to drag his feet for various reasons. One moment he said he was busy with work and had no time to go to the courthouse. The next, he claimed his parents disagreed and needed time to communicate with them. I understood, he regretted it. Or rather, he was unwilling to accept it. He couldn't accept that I, who had been completely obedient and at his beck and call, had found a partner thousands of times better so quickly. His ego had suffered an unprecedented blow. Meanwhile, discordant voices began to appear online. An online post titled 5-Year No for Sudden, Why the Discarded Quickly Anew, quietly circulated on popular online forums. The post portrayed me as a materialistic gold digger who abandoned her husband the moment his company faced a crisis, seamlessly moving on to a richer magnate. Marcus, in turn, was painted as the devoted man, cruelly abandoned, yet still speaking kindly of his ex-wife. As for Luna, she was depicted as an innocent victim, who returned home only to discover the man she loved was married, forced to silently endure everything. The post was emotionally charged and accompanied by several candid photos. There were pictures of Alexander and me in the restaurant, of him draping his jacket over me, and of us in front of the mansion. The angles were artful, making us look very intimate. On the other side, there was Marcus's lonely figure, waiting anxiously alone at the airport. The stark contrast was highly inflammatory. For a time, the internet was filled with insults directed at me. "This woman is too practical, isn't she? Ran off as soon as her husband ran into trouble? 5 years of feelings tossed aside just like that, how heartless. That new lover looks really rich, a Bentley, no wonder. Feel bad for that guy, he looks so pathetic." I looked at the offensive comments, my hands and feet turning cold with anger. It didn't take much thought to figure out whose handiwork this was. No one else but Luna. She excelled at this kind of trick, playing the innocent and manipulating public opinion. Don't be angry, Alexander took my phone away. It's not worth getting upset over people like that. But they. Leave it to me. His tone was calm, yet carried a convincing power. I watched him pick up his phone and dial a number. Hello, it's me. Have you seen the online posts about Grace? Give me half an hour. I want all related posts and comments to disappear. Also, check the IP address of the poster and the source of those candid photos. And send me all the information about the Southside project that Hayes is currently bidding on. He hung up the phone as if he had just given instructions for a trivial matter. Half an hour later, when I refreshed the page, all those posts had indeed vanished, along with the malicious comments, completely gone. In their place was a new exposé. The title, shocking. The face of the so-called devoted. The post presented a clear timeline, precisely detailing the exact time Marcus proposed divorce to me, and precisely detailing the exact time Alexander and I got engaged at the restaurant. The two events were less than 24 hours apart. The post also included a screenshot of a transaction record. It was from an auxiliary credit card of mine. Just 1 week before Marcus proposed divorce, this card had a 7-figure transaction at a high-end jewelry boutique. And that boutique was located directly below the hotel where Luna was about to check in. The evidence was irrefutable. Public opinion instantly reversed. Holy crap. So the husband cheated first and proposed the divorce? Using his wife's money to buy gifts for his mistress? That's messed up. The ex-wife's move is textbook perfect. Well played. So the ex-wife didn't find a new lover, but reconciled with her first love? Just then, a verified financial influencer reposted the article with a comment. Wait, isn't this man Alexander, who just acquired Voyager? Voyager is Hayes' biggest competitor. This is going to be interesting. This comment, like a bombshell, instantly ignited the entire internet. Alexander acquired Voyager? Hayes' biggest competitor? I looked at that comment, and my mind buzzed. I had always thought Alexander came back T's time just for me. But I never expected him to also have a business agenda. And that agenda was directly aimed at Marcus's family business. Was this a coincidence, or a long-planned scheme? I looked up at Alexander. He was leaning back on the sofa, calmly looking at a document, seemingly unfazed by the online storm. You acquired Voyager? I finally asked. He looked up from the document, meeting my gaze, and didn't deny it. Yes. A company with great potential. Just because it's Hayes' competitor? Alexander put down the document and was silent for a moment. Not entirely, he said, looking into my eyes seriously. But if I can also make certain unhappy people even unhappier, I don't mind. His honesty left me speechless. He never hid his intentions, even if those intentions sounded somewhat unscrupulous. Yet, I, damningly, felt incredibly secure. The online storm quickly impacted reality. Hayes' stock plummeted. The acquisition of Voyager meant they had lost a rival they could manipulate and gained a formidable, unmatchable enemy. And this enemy also had intricate ties with the Hayes family's prospective daughter-in-law. All sorts of speculations and rumors spread wildly throughout the business world. The family was in for a tough time. That afternoon, I received a call from Marcus. This time, he didn't roar. His voice was filled with exhaustion and suppressed anger. Grace, was this something you and that man planned all along? First divorce, then have him destroy my company? You just want to see me lose everything, don't you? His accusation sounded like a joke. Marcus, did you forget that you were the one who wanted the divorce first? I coldly reminded him. If you hadn't gotten involved with him so quickly, would things have turned out this way? He was still arguing illogically. So, you're telling me that after you left me for Luna, I should have remained pure for you, faithfully waiting for you to get tired of playing around before coming back to me? I shot back. That's not what I meant. Then what do you mean? I pressed him. Do you think I should have lived a miserable life after leaving you, just to fit your image of a discarded wife? Marcus, your downfall was sealed the moment you decided to betray our marriage. It has nothing to do with me, or Alexander. With that, I hung up. Listening to the dial tone, Marcus was so enraged that he smashed his phone to the floor. His office was in shambles. His father, Richard, the chairman of Hayes, had collapsed from stress and been hospitalized due to a sharp drop in stock prices. Panic spread through the company, and shareholders exerted immense pressure. Overwhelmed and desperate, Marcus could only pin his hopes on Luna. He knew Luna's father had some influence in the business world and might be able to help him make connections to get through this difficult time. But when he approached Luna, full of hope, all he received were evasive excuses. Marcus, it's not that I don't want to help you. It's just that my dad hasn't been well lately, and he's handed over all company matters to professional managers. Plus, Alexander is extremely well connected, and our family doesn't want to easily cross him. Luna's words were like a bucket of cold water, drenching Marcus and leaving him utterly deflated. He had always thought Luna was an unworldly angel who would sacrifice everything for love. Only at this moment did he realize that even angels had to contend with earthly realities. In the face of immense personal gain, their love seemed so fragile, so easily shattered. Just as Marcus was overwhelmed and at his wits' end, Mrs. Richard, my former mother-in-law, called me again. This time, her voice lacked its previous caustic and cruel edge. Instead, it held a hint of a sob. Grace, no, Grace, please, Mom is begging you, talk to Mr. Alexander. Ask him to show some leniency, to let go of our Hayes family. Marcus, he is your husband, after all. He isn't anymore, I calmly corrected her. Mrs. Richard, your attitude wasn't like this when you forced me to leave him with all assets. The sobbing on the other end of the line faltered, then turned into an even more desperate wail. I know I was wrong. Grace, Mom knows she was wrong. Mom was blind to your worth. As long as you come back, as long as you make Mr. Alexander let us go, Mom will give you anything you want. The family's assets, they'll all be yours. She began to make empty promises, uttering those fleeting pledges. I just found it laughable. There's no need, I refused directly. It's impossible for Marcus and me now. With that, I hung up, unwilling to listen to her hypocritical pleas any longer. Not long after, the mansion's doorbell rang. I checked the video doorbell and saw that it was Marcus. He stood at the door, his suit crumpled, hair disheveled, and a shadow of stubble on his chin. He looked haggard and defeated, a far cry from the high-spirited and confident man who had proposed divorce. I didn't open the door. He waited there, from dusk until nightfall. Later that evening, Alexander returned. Seeing at the door, his brows furrowed. Marcus saw Alexander, and his eyes instantly reddened. Like an enraged beast in a cage, he lunged forward. Alexander, what exactly do you want? Alexander sidestepped his swinging fist, then swiftly gripped his wrist, easily subduing him. Mr. Marcus, trespassing and attempting to assault someone. It seems the Hayes' troubles are not enough. Alexander's voice was cold, his eyes holding a hint of disdain. Marcus struggled, but he was no match for Alexander. Let me go. Grace, come out. Get out here, he shouted towards the mansion. I opened the door and stepped out. Marcus, are you done making a scene? Seeing me, Marcus's eyes instantly changed, anger mixed with a plea and vulnerability. Grace, please, ask him to let me go, to let our family go, okay? He humbled himself, attempting to sway me with our past tie-in. We were together for 5 years, even if there wasn't love, there was affection, right? Do you remember? When we first got married, you said you loved to see the ocean, and I took you to Santa the very next day. On your birthday, He rambled on, recounting our supposedly sweet memories. I listened quietly, but my heart remained perfectly still. Yes, he had taken me to see the ocean, celebrated my birthdays, and given me expensive gifts. He played the role of a perfect husband. But now, looking back, those supposed good deeds were nothing more than a carefully orchestrated performance, designed to appease me and ensure I continued to play the part of a good Mrs. Hayes. Yet, his heart held another. All his tenderness and consideration felt like nothing more than a duty. Now that the mission was complete, he turned and left without a second thought. Just as Marcus was still trying to awaken my memories, Alexander returned. He had gone out at some point, returning with a cake from my favorite bakery. He saw Marcus, but said nothing. He simply walked straight to me, took off his jacket, draped it naturally over my shoulders, and then pulled me into his embrace. Not a word was spoken, but that gesture was more potent than any words. It was an undeniable claim, a silent declaration. Marcus's monologue came to an abrupt halt. He looked at our intimate posture, then at the mansion he could never afford, and his eyes instantly dimmed, like a defeated man. All his anger and resentment turned into a joke in the face of such overwhelming power. He stumbled back 2 steps, a bitter laugh escaping his lips. Do you really think he's a generous man? He stared intently at me, his eyes holding a strange malice. Grace, you're too naive. You have no idea what he did to get everything he has today. Go ask him what that accident 5 years ago was really about. An accident 5 years ago? Marcus's words, like a poisonous thorn, pierced my heart. After ing off the dispirited Marcus, I closed the door and turned to Alexander. He stood in the foyer, his expression complex, as if he had long expected Marcus to say these things. What accident? I asked him, my voice dry. Alexander fell silent. The longer his silence stretched, the more my unease grew. Alexander, tell me. I walked up to him and looked up into his eyes. He sighed, took my hand, and led me to the sofa. Grace, I never wanted you to know about this. His voice was low and somber. 5 years ago, our separation wasn't just because of your parents' disapproval. When I was preparing to find you and explain everything, I was in a car accident. My heart sank. A car accident? I was gravely injured and in a coma for 3 months. My family, wanting to spare you worry and wishing for you to start a new life, kept the news quiet. Then, they told you I had gone abroad with another woman. They knew your parents' personalities, they knew they would never let you marry someone who might become an invalid. Alexander's voice was calm, as if he were recounting someone else's story. But I could imagine how desperate he must have been back then. Lying in a hospital bed, his fate uncertain, yet still separated from his loved one's world by his closest family. Then, why would Marcus know? My voice trembled. The family and the Alexander family had always been business rivals. My accident delighted them. At the time, their family and mine were competing for a project. When I went down, that project naturally fell into their hands. Alexander paused, a flicker of coldness in his eyes. Not only did they know about my accident, but they also helped my family spread rumors that I had abandoned you to elope with a wealthy woman. So, Marcus knew everything from the very beginning. He knew you were kept in the dark, knew how heartbroken you were, and then he appeared by your side like a savior, marrying you as a matter of course. My mind exploded. All the turd pieces clicked together, forming a cruel and complete truth. I had always thought Marcus simply didn't love me. Only now did I realize he had been a complete liar from the very beginning. He wasn't my safe bet, he was a cunning opportunist. He had stolen 5 years of my life. He shamelessly reveled in my care, watched me constantly worrying over a fake love, and probably laughed at my stupidity. And he, in turn, played the part of a lovesick hero who had waited patiently for love, anticipating the return of the one who got away. How despicable! How shameless! A surge of unprecedented fury erupted from within me, consuming my entire being. I thought my heart was calm and indifferent towards Marcus, but only at this moment did I realize that hate could be even more profound than love. My hands trembled, and my body shook. Not from fear, but from extreme rage. Alexander held me tightly, pulling my trembling body into his embrace. I'm sorry, Grace, I shouldn't have kept it from you. I shook my head, and my tears finally broke free. These weren't tears of sadness, but of anger, tears for the 5 wasted years of my life. I leaned into his embrace and cried for a long time, until all my grievances and rage were unleashed. Then, I wiped away my tears and sat up from his embrace. My heart felt a calm it had never known, and a hardness it had never possessed. I picked up my phone, found Marcus's number, and dialed. The phone rang for a long time before it was answered. Marcus's voice sounded weak and listless, thick with sniffles, as if he were crying. Hello. I ignored his vulnerability, my voice as cold as ice. Marcus, let's meet. At usual spot, the old bridge at Willow Park. The old bridge at Willow Park was where Marcus and I began our destiny. 5 years ago, I was heartbroken after being abandoned by Alexander. A mutual friend organized an outing, and it was by this bridge that I met Marcus. He was gentle and considerate, showering me with care, like a ray of light piercing my bleak world. Now, looking back, that light had been filled with calculation from the very start. Marcus was already there when I arrived. He leaned against the bridge railing, gazing at the murmuring stream below, his back looking desolate. Luna was there too. She stood beside Marcus, her arm linked with his. Seeing me, a triumphant and provocative smile appeared on her face. She probably thought I had come to reconcile. Grace, what are you doing here? Marcus turned, his eyes complex as he saw me. There was hatred, unwillingness, and a flicker of anticipation that he himself hadn't noticed. Perhaps he was still fantasizing that I would soften and return to him out of lingering affection. I'm here to tell you something. I walked up to them, my gaze calmly fixed on Marcus. 5 years ago, Alexander's car accident, you knew about it. Marcus's face instantly changed. What are you talking about? I don't know, he instinctively denied. Luna, standing beside him, also froze, looking at him with confusion. Not only did you know, but you and your family also spread rumors that he abandoned me. I ignored his protests, peeling back his mask of hypocrisy, step by step. You watched me grieve, watched me suffer, and then you appeared like a hero, promising to treat me well. Marcus, you didn't love me, you just enjoyed the thrill of taking what your rival cherished most. Our marriage, from the very beginning, was nothing but a trophy you used to humiliate Alexander and satisfy your pathetic self-esteem. My voice wasn't loud, but every word was like a heavy hammer, striking Marcus's heart. His face changed from flushed to ashen, finally turning a sickly gray. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. Because everything I said was true. Luna, standing nearby, was stunned. She stared at Marcus, her eyes filled with shock and revulsion. The devoted man who had supposedly waited patiently for love, the one she had envisioned, was nothing but a fraud who had risen through despicable means. Her love story, too, became a joke. No, that's not right. Marcus, she's not telling the truth, is she? Luna shook Marcus's arm, desperately seeking a denial, but only lowered his head, trembling uncontrollably, lacking even the courage to look at her. The truth was undeniable. Luna abruptly flung his hand away, stumbled back 2 steps, and looked at him as if he were a pile of garbage. I watched the absurd scene unfold before me, my heart now completely calm. I had said what I needed to say. It was time to say goodbye to all of it. I turned and prepared to leave. Don't go. Marcus suddenly rushed forward and grabbed my wrist from behind. His grip was strong, as if he wanted to crush my bones. Grace! I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. He cried, tears and snot streaming down his face, a desperate, miserable mess. I admit it. I was jealous of Alexander back then. I used dishonorable tactics. But, Grace, these 5 years, I genuinely fell in love with you. Please, just give me another chance, okay? He pleaded incoherently, making a desperate last attempt to keep me. I forcefully peeled his fingers away, one by one. Marcus. I looked at his tear-streaked face and spoke each word clearly. Some things, once broken, stay broken. Some people, once truly seen, can never be returned to. With that, I walked away towards the other end of the bridge, without looking back. There, a black Bentley was parked. Alexander leaned against the car door, quietly watching me. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.